Good afternoon. It's all about 5:30 Monday, April the 24th, 2017, and I'm down here at Hale's Landing on the New River, and the New River is at flood stage. I'm not sure exactly what level it is, but that little kiosk that you see right down there is, well, it's got about 3 foot or so, and it will be completely underwater. Now, that little kiosk, it's about 4 foot or so up to the level where the water is now, and the water generally is at least 8 to 10 foot below that. So I'm guessing that the river is up at least 15 feet, maybe more than that. You can see debris floating down the river there. I have, back during my younger days, seen little buildings float down the river, and people sitting on top of them. And there are cases where people go out and try to canoe the river when it's like this, and they get caught in those currents, and it takes them way, way down river. As a matter of fact, this bridge was built in the 1930s. Not this particular bridge, but there was a bridge built across the river right in this location in the 1930s. And the reason why that bridge was built was so the people living in Pearisburg could go to work at the Salinese plant, which was put in about that time. Prior to the probably the 1900s, there were no bridges across the river. People had to go back and forth across the river in a boat or on a ferry. And I know the McClarty people who lived up in up the river, up from Clendenin, they would take a boat over to Pearisburg and go to church on Sunday. And those people, they did not miss church. And the river was up something like this, maybe worse. And this was about 100 years ago. And they tried to go across the river in a boat to go to church. And there was 4 or 5 of them died. And they found them down around Glen Lynn, which is about 10 or 15 miles down the river. So you can see the little kiosk there. That's a Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries kiosk. And where I'm standing here, you can see the hard surface road. This leads down to a Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries boat ramp where you put boats in the water. And you can see right down here all these fence posts here. And you can see out there some more fence posts. In between those 2 sets of fence posts that you see there, that is, you can go down there and park and sit down there. It's sandy and fish. You can actually fish right now. The fish come out of that water, and they try to get in these shallow areas here because they don't want to get beat up by the water, and that water will beat them up really bad. So they come into the shallow water to get out of that real swift stuff. Being a fish out there in the water at this time is kind of like a person being in a hurricane or a tornado. I mean, it's really, really bad for them. So they come into these sheltered areas, shallow places, to get out of that real swift water, and you can actually catch them. You come down here and fish. The only thing about it is when the river's way up like this, there's a lot of bait in the water because it washes out a lot of grubs and worms and so forth. So the water is full of bait for the fish. Plus also the water, as you can see, it's kind of muddy. It's a brownish color. It's kind of muddy. So it's not real good visibility, but nevertheless, you can still catch fish in this. You can see there's a lot of people here taking pictures of the river, and there's some people over there making a video. People parked up here watching the river and so forth. And here's a young lady that is coming down to the river, and she's going to swim across.
Yeah, I want to swim right now.
You're going to swim right now? Okay. Now we can believe that, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, we're making this video here, and as you can see, debris in the water there. There's an island right up there that is completely covered by the water. And out on the second pier out there, there is a flood gauge. You really can't see it. I thought there was a flood gauge out there that was a lot more visible, that had feet above normal and what normal was, but it may have been there. I believe it was, and it was really visible, but the water may have washed it away, and that's why we can't see it in this video. But once again, the island up there is completely under the water. I have found boats washed up on these islands after floods like this. I'm sure that the river gets a lot higher than this, but this is pretty high. And if you look down the river, you can see, like I say, more debris in the water, and it's really quite up quite a bit. It's not a good time to be taking a boat out on the river or a canoe. So if you're planning a fishing trip down here in New River, you might want to wait a day or two until the water goes down. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Signing off. You folks have a nice day, and I wouldn't recommend you go try to swim across the river right now or go boating. Once again, have a nice evening.